How far are you willing to go in order to achieve greatness? Do you think you can surpass your body's physical limits? Do you have what it takes to go past your mental barrier? Are you willing to reach your goal even if that involves you losing yourself? What do these three films have in common? I'll let you think about your answer until the end. And I'm not talking about pulling an all-nighter to get that passing exam score or to do good on the job interview, but true commitment to your craft. A passion bigger than life and consistently staying in flow state for greatness. The kind of practice that takes so much time that you can't cheat the process but only gradually get better. Whether you want to be the best ballet dancer, best drum player, or best bodybuilder, we're going to see how far the human spirit is willing to go in order to achieve perfection through obsession. And with that, slight spoilers ahead. Number 1. Black Swan, directed by Darren Aronofsky. Black Swan uses mirrors and the struggle with self-identity to show what happens when your obsession with being the greatest completely takes over.
Tell me about mirrors.
Mirrors. Well, I mean, the mirror is such an important part of the ballet world. I mean, there's mirrors everywhere you go, and all those rehearsal studios, and dancers are always looking at themselves in the mirror. So very early on, it was like, okay, the mirror is a clearly big part of this. And then, because the film's about doubles and identity and losing identity and not knowing who you are, it just became clear we were going to try and screw.
What if one day you looked in the mirror and the person staring back at you was a complete stranger? The struggle to be the best is an internal and external war zone within our protagonist, Nina, and her trying to fulfill the role of Swan Queen. Aronofsky's work displays obsession where you're your own worst enemy, all in the name of greatness. The idea came to Aronofsky when he had been reading Dostoevsky's The Double. The idea of waking up and suddenly someone who looks just like you begins to slowly take your life away from your bare hands. Being unable to stop them, and shortly after seeing Swan Lake, the performance, he felt that there was something untapped after he found out that the Swan Queen is two roles played by the same person. We meet our protagonist, Nina Sayers, a timid young woman who apologizes for even the slightest of inconveniences. Almost immediately, we're introduced to another dancer, Lily, who makes her entrance wearing all black. This will come back up later. Thomas, the man in charge of casting the next performance, is looking for a new Swan Queen. The Swan Queen plays both the white and the black swan, where the white swan is completely Nina, structured, disciplined, and by the book. But in order for her to nail both roles, she needs to learn how to be more like Lily. Lily appears, late as usual. She's carefree, unpredictable, and naturally embodies everything that the Black Swan should be, which is why she serves as a threat to Nina, being able to take her role from her at any time. Nina struggles to embrace her dark side because being the White Swan is her default. What she needs is a sort of rebirth, maybe a metamorphosis. Nina has spent her entire life trying to appear perfect to everyone around her, but by doing so, she's built a life that is incredibly isolating. So much so that she's missing out on the full human experience. At the darkest hours of the day, Nina can see what is haunting her, what she must embody to reach her goals. Nina is visibly shaken by this encounter. It's almost as if she's staring directly at the beast in the eye. And just for a second, she sees what she has to become. Obtaining the role of the Swan Queen comes with countless hours of preparation, all required to embody the role to perfection. Constantly, the reminder of the legacy that she has to live up to turns into this rock that you carry in your shoe that never really goes away until you're fully satisfied. Nina's mother is essentially trying to live out her own failed ballerina career through her daughter. It is toxic, but unfortunately, it's a sad reality that some children experience with their parents. Surely that seed was planted when Nina was young, serving as a constant reminder to both of them of how much regret her mother has bottled up inside of her. Having been involved in the ballet industry herself, Nina's mother also understands the political games that have to happen behind the scenes when it comes to getting certain roles and climbing the ladder in the ballet world. And questioned by Thomas, we're given a glimpse into the darker side of this particular ballet company and the power dynamics that can exist behind any workplace. We get to see what happens to the past ballet superstar being replaced, then lose it all after the involvement of her career-ending accident. Not only is her career over, but her mental health has gone with it. Because if she cannot perform, what good is her life? She seems to embody the obsession of being the star as a predecessor. Beth seems to naturally represent the Black Swan. We're told that Beth was always reckless and destructive, but maybe too much so that it ended up in this brutal accident. As Nina meets criticism, instead of taking it and processing it rationally, she takes everything personal as an attack on herself, on her role, and on her own abilities. Through her rejection of her mother's rigid structure, Nina slowly begins transforming into the Black Swan by taking some of that control back. But by doing so, she denies herself food, sacrifices a good night's sleep, and begins going out against her mother's wishes. By going out and recklessly taking part in physical pleasures, substance abuse, and sexual encounters with strangers, she ends up being late for an important rehearsal early the next morning. It's only after she goes through with these actions that she begins to break the rigidity she has carried throughout her entire life. She allows herself to completely lose control, and through a slight amnesiac episode, she suddenly regains consciousness and remembers that she has somewhere important to be. The film constantly plays with black and white, and as Nina's internal struggle intensifies, her outfit gradually becomes darker as the film plays out. It's a visual representation of Nina slowly embracing the darker side that she believes she must become in order to truly embody the Black Swan. And as Nina becomes darker on the outside, the transformation happening on the inside of her becomes even more disturbing. Her obsession with the role has made her get inside her own head, firmly believing that everyone around her is trying to steal the role away from her, but in reality, it's all part of her internal struggle. We repeatedly see this giant blackbird-like humanoid figure. We see it in the opening sequence, in the artwork near Nina's mirror, and even when Nina sees Lily having a heavy makeout session with Thomas, only for one of them to suddenly transform into the creature. The Black Swan seems to be following Nina everywhere. When the night of the performance finally arrives, Nina is still struggling to fully embrace the Black Swan. After making a mistake during the White Swan performance, she becomes convinced that Lily is going to replace her, now as the Black Swan part is coming up. In Nina's mind, Lily represents everything that she's trying to so desperately become: carefree, confident, seductive, and completely uninhibited. So Nina confronts her, and in the struggle that follows, she kills Lily, or at least she believes she does. It's the final stage of her rebirth. Finally, Nina can tap into the Black Swan, and her performance will be flawless. As she delivers, we watch her completely transform. Her eyes become bloodshot, feathers seem to come out of the body, and her arms become giant black wings. For the first time, Nina isn't trying to become the Black Swan. She is the Black Swan. And as she returns to the dressing room, she discovers that Lily is still well and alive. That there was no fight with Lily. Nina didn't attack Lily. She's killed her former self. There was never a murder. Nina looks down and realizes that the glass shard that she thought she used to stab Lily is actually lodged inside her own body. The person Nina had been fighting this entire time has always been herself. And yet, despite the wound, she walks back onto the stage to finish off the final act. Because the performance isn't over, Nina performs the death of the White Swan by jumping off the stage, completing the role. She sacrificed everything to achieve, and as she lies there bleeding, surrounded by the cast, that's where we, the viewer, are left with one final question. Did Nina truly die like the Swan Queen that she was playing, sacrificing herself in the endless pursuit of perfection, and solidifying her legacy as a Swan Queen? Or was she medically treated and able to carry on with the rest of her ballet career? Either way, Nina finally achieved the one thing she had been chasing throughout the entire film. She became perfect, and unfortunately, it may have cost her everything. Number 2, Whiplash. Directed by Damien Chazelle, who basically made a movie about himself, being involved with music and having a real-life Fletcher to push him to be great. Obviously not to the same extreme, but it was much more cathartic. Really tapping into the fear that all musicians hold when they are performing, of what could go wrong, but personifying it through Fletcher. The story is a little more straightforward with the exception of whatever happened to the music folder.
Your brother Billy, whatever happened there?
Let me know what you think happened to that in the comments. We are quickly introduced to the main characters of the film. What seems like a normal interaction is a little more sinister than at first glance. Fletcher purposefully keeps showing up in the beginning film since he's the one in charge of an elite music group. Andrew knows that, and because he keeps giving him crumbs of hope that he has a chance to be a member of Fletcher's group, it sparks something in him. I don't know that much about music myself in the formal way, let alone jazz.
Let's say something. You like jazz?
So we get to immediately witness the divide in the music groups. There are clear levels to this, and Fletcher definitely sees something in Andrew, because why else would he have come back to the music room? Does being leader of a prestigious group make this type of vulgar discourse okay? No. And does this dude apologize? No. But at least Andrew gets to acknowledge that he is feeling upset with not being able to play at the proper tempo. Fletcher definitely goes over the top in an abusive type of way. After what I can only assume was a rage-fueled practice session, we turn to a lighter note and return to human interaction. His passion for music is clear when on the date, but it comes off as snobbish as it starts off lighthearted about building up a profile on someone you don't know yet. And unfortunately, it turns into a pretentious conversation of, I know what I want, type of discussion, which is fine, but the delivery is what came off wrong, in my opinion. Fletcher is the embodiment of what it means to be perfect, well, at least to Andrew. Fletcher caring about his reputation acts as a catalyst for Andrew wanting to have a legacy of his own.
Not quite my tempo.
It's when the possible threat of being replaced comes to show that he must intensify his practice and become at least 1% better than he was yesterday. When one becomes stagnant, stops putting in the effort that it takes to stay the best, it leaves space for those who are hungrier for the starting position to rise to the top. And as quickly as he became the core drummer, he lost that role. That must feel soul-crushing. Seem familiar? With not much given thought, he breaks off things, and it ends in a selfish manner because he has done all the thinking for both sides. So much so that he never accounted for her choice, what it could actually be. The mind is a dangerous place because it can take you to the moon and back, but without input from real life, then it just seems like an echo chamber. How could he possibly know what she's thinking without proper communication? It just seems too narrow-minded. But what do you guys think? Was he in the right? Or did he do the wrong thing? His way of thinking never accounts for a world where she is fully supportive and respects his practice time, while she does her own thing. Here, in the dynamic, it's now 3 people competing for the role of core drummer instead of 2. One who's been there the whole time, as we know. Maybe he's gotten a little bit complacent, but is still skilled. The one with the burning competitive passion that wants the role no matter what the cost, physical, mental, whatever it takes. And the newbie, the guy who's just happy to be there, serves as a driving force for Andrew that adds pressure to try that much harder in the heat of the moment. Once the message is clear how replaceable Andrew is as a core drummer, he then makes sure he gets to the performance on time, but life has other plans. Now, not only is he physically and mentally exhausted from lack of sleep and the hours put in for practice, but he's physically damaged. Unable to get his own body to move the way he wants, And filled to the brim with adrenaline and rage, he snaps and just uses whatever energy he has left on Fletcher through aggression. This is the height of obsession for Andrew in his performance, exhausted in all avenues, prioritizing the performance above all else. At the start, he wants to deny that Fletcher did any mental damage. I only think this is the case because he can understand the method of Fletcher's madness, and as destructive as it is, he understands his philosophy. The music obsession is similar to that of an addict, and him getting kicked out is living the sober life. But this is short-lived, as he finds out Fletcher is working at a jazz club now. They have a little chat, and Fletcher defends the way he acts, with along the lines of, without his methodology, there would never be a Louis Armstrong. Fletcher offers Andrew a spot in his new group that is in charge, where very important music people will be attending, making it a great place where Andrew can show off his drum skills. Finally, his big break is gonna come through after being expelled from the prestigious music group. This is his way back into the scene. We then see Andrew get on stage, and Fletcher decides to purposefully sabotage his drumming career by switching up the routine to make sure he flops in front of all of these important music people. So in this graceful final act, we get two different routes that are shown in twos. But Andrew does something that defies the two-path split. He can embrace the sadness and give up, just walk away and pursue something else. Or he can channel in the anger again and attack Fletcher like he did prior. But this would result in another bad look and get him possibly criminally charged for assault. But in a graceful manner, Andrew paves his own path with a quick cool down and takes matters into his own hands. Fletcher has this dead set way of thinking that is either his way or the highway. But through Andrew's will, he forges his own way. Through doing so, he gains Fletcher's respect with small acts of him helping his drum equipment malfunctions and continuous nods of approval. Through his display of skill, he takes charge. On where the rest of the ensemble is going, he takes Fletcher's role, even if it's just for a few seconds. Andrew's resilience is one that pays off in one of the best drum performances I have ever seen, and it did give me goosebumps, I can't lie. 3. Magazine Dreams, my personal favorite for last. Directed by Elijah Bynum. He gained the idea after witnessing a bodybuilder at his local gym, fascinated by his physique, noting that he was ignored by others. That one who is really committed to being in this sport comes with its downsides, such as loneliness, and how the struggle to be seen is not one that he faces alone, but something that multiple characters face in this film as well. The others in this film aren't alone for the same reasons as Killian, but that seems to be an overlapping theme. Our main character, Killian Maddox, is completely obsessed with bodybuilding, as he mentions to his coworker about his dream. His interactions are a little awkward, but it doesn't deter him, and he's brave for doing so. He decides in a short walk to the car that he should go back and get the number of his coworker, because something felt right about it. A reminder that him striving to be the best in his sport is lonesome because of the obsession for his craft. Through filming a video of himself, we can see how discontent he is with his performance. When he stutters or forgets a word, wanting to be known and to be seen is something he yearns for. Even acknowledging the awful comments people leave on his videos make him feel something, as they are at least aware of his existence. He has a great respect for his grandfather, and unfortunately not only did he lose both his mom and dad early on in life, but he places a great importance on legacy since his grandpa is a war veteran from Vietnam. His rageful act of vandalism could be a cocktail of emotions, or it could be the drugs talking, from the steroids to the blow that he does as his pre-workout ritual, ultimately wanting to protect his grandfather's name. This would only be possible if he had such a high importance on the sport of bodybuilding and an obsession of wanting to be on a magazine, to be the best. The fear of leaving scars on his body is what leads him to deny surgery for the tumors found on his liver. It isn't the fear of the tumors, but the fear of defiling his body by leaving marks that would make him lose points in the sport of bodybuilding. Accepting the fact that his longevity in the sport might not be long, but he wants to make sure the time that he's in it will be the best. Every time we see Killian writing to his bodybuilding hero, it seems like a form of prayer, expecting his idol, who is in his eyes like a god, will hopefully hear his prayers and respond to him, to give him the helping hand he so desperately wants. He wants to be seen, or even slightly connect to his hero. In the film, the theme of loneliness lives through most of the characters Killian meets. He is no exception. The lady at the grocery store, the sex worker, the coke addict, even his hero he looks up to. Killian not really having a support system other than his papa, but he lies to his therapist to hold the facade that everything is alright. That living inside your own fantasy realm of the mind is this much isolating and this damaging to your mental health. He so desperately wants to be seen that he makes up a lie that he's achieving his goals, so desperate to show the world that everything's alright, when in reality, it's the opposite.
And how are things progressing with the young lady from work?
She's my girlfriend now.
Not even having people you can call your equals. That certainly had to be a bridge to lead him to his obsession. The lady at the grocery store accepting his offer on the date. The coke addict just using substance with Killian for a good few moments of company. And his hero, who has an entire family, and his DL. Just using Killian for his body seems an abandonment to who he truly is. There is a level of disconnect that gets put on display because Killian's date doesn't know much about bodybuilding, let alone who the top bodybuilder is. The gym community is already few in number, making bodybuilding even more niche. He then goes onto a monologue showing that he's finally mastered the speech he's been practicing for so long. None of the words were stuttered, but by doing this, he accidentally scares her off, and he goes on a binge purge type for dinner. Slowly, after enduring these events that are not going in his favor, and he's not getting a reply back from his God, he's beginning to lose faith after writing so many unanswered prayers. To really crumble his faith, he is battered and bruised, and that physical damage is not going to deter him from entering his bodybuilding show. He shows up bloody and bruised, still putting his best foot forward on that stage. This gets him to go viral online, and since his legacy is what needs to be planted, any publicity is good publicity. But is any publicity really better than no publicity when you still feel invisible to the world? And your boss reinforces that notion after telling you that you are no one before letting you go? Almost calling it quits on his dreams and life altogether through a destructive act. But before he calls it quits, a miracle occurs. His hero wants to see him, as he saw him posing battered and bruised. Through this meeting, I guess it really is never meet your heroes. It's only after meeting him that his goal of being on a magazine is clouded for a bit of violence. But he regains the vision and ambition once he sees his papa in a wholesome and sad embrace. He realizes that he is really alone, much like his papa is as well, throwing up a poster and trying yet again to become an IFBB pro. We can speculate that every poster is part of his obsession, and also lets us know about this cycle that he's stuck in, one of self-destruction, and how many times he's wanted to quit, but just throws up another poster and tries again. Each film follows a character who's willing to sacrifice everything to become the best. Nina loses her sense of identity. Andrew gives up his relationships and pushes his body well past its limits. And Killian risks his health and is stuck in a cycle because he wants to be seen but doesn't know how to break out. Their obsession helps them reach moments of greatness, but it can also destroy important parts of themselves. They show us that hard work and dedication can only take a person so far. And when the goal becomes much more important than the health, happiness, and humanity, success can begin to feel like a failure. So perhaps the real question is being number one worth it when you lose yourself along the way? If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like, and if you want me to do a deep dive on a movie that you like, let me know in the comments. I'm open to suggestions. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.